Joining me now is former homicide prosecutor Matt Murphy. You also, in your current private practice, represent a lot of officers in officer-involved shootings, obviously only the ones you think have been wrongly accused. What do you make of this case? Did Officer Dial act improperly?
Well, I think the Philadelphia Police Department got themselves into trouble by releasing information that was inaccurate. So the problem here, I think that when you boil it down, they have to convince the judge that there's probable cause. That's a factual determination in a preliminary hearing, which is what we had. They got to clear that hurdle, and they didn't do it. And looking at the circumstances of this is a young man who's driving the wrong way down a one-way road. He's driving erratically. The police are going to contact him. They demand that he show him his hands. Instead, he produces a weapon. There was some confusion based on the testimony.
But he didn't brandish the weapon. The knife was down by his leg. He didn't even roll his window down.
According to the testimony, he did brandish the weapon. The other officer said that there was some confusion whether it was a gun or whether it was a knife. But the police code that you hear on the tape, 413, is person with a deadly weapon. It can be a gun or a knife. Those are the first things that the officer utters. So clearly he sees that, and he shot. And the court made the determination that he did so in self-defense. Now, it's also notable, the prosecution here charged first-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter.
Did they overcharge?
They absolutely overcharged. Okay, there's no conceivable way that this is a first-degree murder under any interpretation. When I was trained, our trainer, a man named Chris Evans, who's now a Supreme Court judge, said there's no such thing as spaghetti justice. You don't just throw a bunch of charges on the wall and hope something sticks. And the defense's argument here is that you got to figure it out. What is it? A voluntary manslaughter is a very different legal theory than a first-degree murder.
Yeah, but it's, I guess, what people say, and I think what the protesters are arguing, and certainly the victim's family in this case is arguing, is that how could he be threatening this officer, and how could the judge decide that the officer was in fear of his life when the suspect, the victim in this case, was in his car with the window rolled up?
Well, the problem with that is that it's very easy to go through and 2020 and officers split-second decisions. They're asked to put their lives on the line every single day. This is a young man who has a weapon, and if it is a gun, as we see, it's very easy to shoot through a window.
But it wasn't a gun, it was a knife.
No, it later turned out to be a knife. Sometimes it later turns out to be a BB gun. Sometimes it later turns out to be a toy gun. But the law in every state in America says that it must be determined from the instant that the officer perceives a threat. Not what they do before, not what they do after. So we can't 2020 and say, well, it was a toy gun, so it wasn't necessary to shoot. So this is one where his partner said at one point that he screamed out gun, and that the handle may have looked like the handle of a firearm.
Well, we do know the officer has already been fired from the department. The district attorney is very upset with the judge's ruling and has vowed to appeal this. What are the mechanisms to do that?
Yeah, so they have essentially asked for the Court of Appeal to reinstate the charges. But you just did a story on this looting and some of these progressive bail laws. This is a very so-called progressive district attorney. This is a trend right now across the United States that people should be aware of. These so-called self-styled progressive district attorneys who are relaxing bail, they're relaxing sentencing, they're not opposing lifers or murderers from getting out of prison. That's happening in Los Angeles County. And but they are going aggressively after police officers in circumstances like this where they are faced with times where they use force, where there is clearly elements of self-defense present, and they're charging them with murder. This is not a murder case. This is not a murder case.
Do you think the officer was wrong?
Well, the officer clearly made some errors. I think there were some tactical errors, but there is an outlet for that that's called a 1983 action where the family can sue under what's called tort liability.
Okay.
It's a different thing to try to put somebody in prison for the rest of their life who makes a split-second decision as a police officer when faced with a non-compliant suspect who's producing a deadly weapon, which this young man had. And look, mob justice is bad justice. So when we start charging people to try to appease angry people in the streets or prevent looting, we are asking for a lot of problems in America. And we need to have a national conversation about this right now, because I wouldn't want to be a police officer in one of those cities.
All right, Matt Murphy, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.